World War II. A global conflict. It was more than a technological, political, and human earthquake that reshaped the 20th century. It began on September 1, 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war, and the most widespread conflict in human history began. Over 100 million soldiers from over 30 countries fought in the war, including the US, USSR, China, the UK, and the Axis powers, Germany, Japan, and Italy. The speed of warfare shocked the world. The German blitzkrieg strategy, lightning war, used tanks, aircraft, and motorized infantry to overwhelm nations. France, one of Europe's great powers, fell in just 6 weeks. By 1941, Hitler broke his pact with Stalin and invaded the Soviet Union. This opened the Eastern Front, which would become the deadliest theater of the war, claiming over 20 million Soviet lives. Meanwhile, Japan was expanding across Asia. On December 7, 1941, they bombed Pearl Harbor, drawing the United States into the war. The world was now fully engulfed. The war wasn't only fought on land. The Battle of the Atlantic raged for 6 years, with German U-boats sinking Allied shipping, threatening to starve Britain into surrender. And in the air, the Battle of Britain became the first major campaign fought entirely by air forces. It was a desperate struggle in the skies over England. Radar provided a crucial early warning system, while the courage and skill of RAF pilots proved decisive. Against all odds, the British RAF stopped the German Luftwaffe, proving air power could decide the fate of nations. But war isn't just about battles. It's about breakthroughs, secrets, and strange stories that helped shape its outcome. Behind the front lines, World War II was a battlefield of invention, deception, and strange, unbelievable tactics. Espionage reached new heights. British intelligence used double agents to feed false information to the Nazis, a feat called the double-cross system. One agent, known as Garbo, convinced the Germans that the D-Day invasion would land in Calais, not Normandy, saving thousands of Allied lives. Meanwhile, the secretive work at Bletchley Park was changing the war in silence. British mathematician Alan Turing and his team cracked the Enigma code, allowing the Allies to intercept German military plans in real time. Without this, the war could have dragged on for years. To process these codes, the Allies built Colossus, the world's first programmable, electronic, digital computer. It was the size of a room, yet handled data faster than any machine before it. Across the Atlantic, the US launched the Manhattan Project, involving over 130,000 people across secret facilities. It led to the creation of the atomic bomb, a weapon so powerful it would change global politics forever. But there were smaller innovations with huge impacts too. Penicillin, once a lab discovery, was mass-produced to save soldiers from deadly infections. The jeep and amphibious landing crafts revolutionized battlefield mobility. And synthetic rubber became vital when natural rubber supplies were cut off by Japanese advances in Asia. In the Pacific, the war saw kamikaze pilots, young Japanese aviators trained to crash their planes into enemy ships. It was a terrifying tactic rooted in honor and desperation. And then there were the stranger strategies. The Allies developed inflatable tanks and played sound effects to trick Nazi scouts into thinking fake armies were real. The US even experimented with bat bombs, where bats strapped with explosives were released over Japanese cities to roost in buildings before igniting. One British officer, Mad Jack Churchill, stormed beaches with a longbow and a sword, refusing to fight with guns. Women weren't just building bombs. They were decoding messages, flying planes, and running covert ops. The Soviet Union even deployed female sniper units, including Lyudmila Pavlichenko, who had 309 confirmed kills. But while these innovations shaped the outcome, nothing defined World War II more than the lives it destroyed and the world it left behind. By 1945, the world was forever changed, not just by victory, but by unimaginable loss. Between 70 and 85 million people died. Civilians, soldiers, children, and entire communities. Entire cities, Warsaw, Dresden, Tokyo, were flattened by firebombing. In Stalingrad alone, over 2 million were killed in one of the bloodiest battles in history. But the war's darkest horror was the Holocaust. Under Adolf Hitler's regime, the Nazis industrialized genocide, murdering 6 million Jews and millions of Romani, disabled individuals, political prisoners, and others. Entire families vanished in the gas chambers of Auschwitz, Treblinka, and other camps. In the Pacific, the war ended when the US dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. Over 200,000 died, many from radiation sickness in the months that followed. Survivors, known as hibakusha, carried scars, both physical and emotional, for the rest of their lives. And yet, in the ashes of destruction, the world began to rebuild. The United Nations was created in 1945 with the hope that global cooperation could prevent another world war. Germany was divided. Japan was occupied and transformed into a pacifist democracy. And Europe, with US help through the Marshall Plan, began its economic recovery. But peace brought new tensions. The US and the Soviet Union emerged as rival superpowers, beginning the Cold War, a decades-long standoff defined by espionage, nuclear weapons, and proxy wars. World War II also transformed civil rights. In America, the war effort led to desegregation movements in the military. In colonial regions like India, Vietnam, and Algeria, veterans returned demanding independence. The war planted the seeds of decolonization movements worldwide, and culturally, the war redefined how we tell stories. Anne Frank's diary became a global symbol of lost youth and injustice. Films like Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List brought the war's trauma to new generations. Memorials from Normandy to Hiroshima serve as reminders of sacrifice and warning signs of where hatred can lead. World War II was more than a battle for territory. It was a battle for humanity. And the world we know today, its borders, its alliances, even its fears, still lives in the shadow of that war.